Hey, what's up? This is Artemis here. As promised, we took a look at the Riot Division M65 jacket, and now we're back to take a look at the little bomber jacket. Coming in at $300 retail, although down to $240 for the black one and as low as $150 for the olive, this makes it more of an affordable pickup compared to a lot of the jackets featured on this channel. So without further ado, let's go ahead and check it out. As you can see, it's very much got that typical military bomber jacket style. It's got quite a short cut to it, it's got a little bit of weight to it, it's a little bit puffy, and the hem and the cuffs are both quite strong, so it kind of cuts it in at the ends. I have actually been after a bomber jacket, especially one with a nice military olive colour, so I was quite excited when this one showed up. This jacket certainly has a thicker appearance than a lot of the other stuff in my wardrobe, and luckily that does translate to some warmth. This has G-Loft insulation, which I guess is a kind of equivalent to Primaloft, but it's an artificial filling designed for insulation, so that means in colder weather you're going to find this quite appropriate. Although this is going to be good in colder weather, it's not really designed for wet weather. The outer layer is a DWR treated nylon, so it is going to repel some water to an extent, but I certainly wouldn't recommend going out in too much of a downpour wearing this. I wouldn't really judge it on that basis though, because it's clearly not designed to be a rain jacket, as most bombers aren't. This doesn't have a hood. But if you do happen to get caught out in the rain wearing this, know that you're not going to get immediately saturated. You are going to have a nice period where you're protected by that DWR coating. It's warm, it's got some weather protection, it's definitely a winter bomber. But there are some things that set this apart from your average day-to-day bomber jacket. If you take a look, for example, at the front, you'll notice there are far more zips than you would normally see on a bomber jacket. It has a very aggressive, very geometric appearance. I like the contrast between the rounded, slightly puffy bomber jacket style and the very angular, very geometric zips that they've got on the front. I'm not that wild about the zips themselves because they are so chunky, it really draws a lot of attention to them, and I feel like because there are so many zips on this, you could very easily get away with making each one a little bit slimmer. You'd still get that very strong look of having all those zips on the front, but it would just be a little bit more subtle. Although, in fairness, it's very much Riot Division's design philosophy to use this very chunky hardware, so in that sense, it's more in keeping with the style of their other gear and with their design philosophy. You might notice that the ends of one of the vertical and one of the horizontal zips are concealed by this little flap of material. That seems to join them aesthetically. I think it creates a bit of a connection between the two, although from a usability perspective initially, it does make things a little bit strange because it makes it that little bit harder to access those zips, and also when you're doing the vertical zips back up, it's quite easy for that piece of material to get trapped in the zip. However, the reason it's there is because those two zips are actually part of the same pocket, so if you undo both of those, the whole front of the jacket can pretty much fold out, giving you access to a massive amount of storage. So although there's a bit of a trade-off there, the end result is pretty cool in that you wouldn't expect this kind of a jacket to be able to carry so much stuff. These pockets are actually big enough to carry A4 sized things, so if you're out carrying some secret documents, you want to keep them nice, you're handing them to someone very important, you don't want to have to fold them up, then this could well be the bomber for you. And with those other smaller vertical pockets, there's a surprising amount of room in there too. It's easily big enough for a phone, and in fact, things significantly bigger than that you're going to be able to get in there no problem. Technically, there is one other pocket. There's one on the left arm, although it's pretty small, it's not really that usable. Basically, consider this as purely an aesthetic thing. There's one other feature here, which is not something that you would typically see on a bomber jacket, and that is that the sleeves have adjustable length. What I mean by that is inside the big pockets, you'll find some toggles which you can pull, and that will basically cinch in the sleeve alongside one of its edges. Although this does work in shortening the arm length, because it does it all along one edge, it gives a slightly uneven kind of pulling sensation to it, which is not quite to my taste. And also because the cuffs on this jacket are quite strong anyway, you'll find that if you do want to adjust the sleeves of this and pull them up a bit, you can actually do it quite easily just by pulling the jacket up as you would normally. And you'll find that they will grip your forearms better than most jackets would. So really that adjustability is less of an issue. I suppose it's something you'd use in conjunction with pulling the sleeves up a bit. So you're not just relying on the strength of the cuff, but also the seam that runs along the arm. The branding on this jacket is fairly minimal. There is a Riot Division little military style badge on the right arm, and there's also a little Riot Division tag, I think, on the left flank. On the inside of the jacket, there's not too much. There's 2 pockets on one side, which are both zipped, so it's enough for a couple of valuables, but not too much. To be honest, with a jacket of this type, you don't really need more pockets than that, so I wouldn't have expected ones on the opposite side, and with this jacket having as much storage as it does anyway, I think you're fairly unlikely to need much more than what you'll get on the outside. The military style of this bomber jacket is definitely worth working with and pairing with other things that have that similar look. So cargo pants, of course, are going to be a good one here, and also chunkier, more heavy duty footwear. Stuff like those Nike SFBs I think are going to be a good choice here, or even combat issue military boots. I think that those could look pretty good. But the good thing about bomber jackets is that because they are so ubiquitous, they are so commonly worn, you don't necessarily have to go in that full military direction. I think this can be worn fairly casually as well, and you'll see people wear bomber jackets with plain white t-shirts and jeans on a fairly regular basis, so if you really want to, you can still just fit into that aesthetic and do so fairly effectively. Overall, this is unmistakably a Riot Division take on a bomber jacket. They've used that very classic silhouette and shape, but then applied their design philosophy and their use of pockets and those little extra features. And honestly, I think it's a combination that works fairly well. It makes it a little bit different to your bog standard Alpha Industries bomber jacket that you'll see your average guy on the street wearing, but it's not so different and weird that it's going to alienate anyone or make you look strange wearing it or making it difficult to wear with other things. This is definitely something I could see myself wearing on a colder day where I don't really want to fully commit to TECHWEAR stuff. I want to keep it maybe a little bit more military style or a little bit more casual, but still using that brutalist TECHWEAR look. And I think at the current sale price, certainly of the olive one coming in at $150, it makes it a pretty decent buy. And there you have it, the Riot Division Urban Bomber Jacket. Do let me know what you guys think of it. Is this something that you would pick up at $150, or are you more in the traditional, tried and tested Alpha Industries kind of camp, which probably comes in at a similar price? Or maybe bomber jackets are just not your thing at all and you'd rather stick to something which is going to give you better all-weather performance. Either way, let me know your thoughts down in the comments. I'm going to be checking through them all. And thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please do give it a like. And of course, we'll be back very soon for the next one.